Yes, it's the dailies, and that's what we're taking next right here on Viewpoint and Atlantic TV. And for review today, as always, we have 7 papers. We'll be starting with The Nation, The Punch, The Vanguard, The Daily Trust, These Day, Nigerian Tribune, and you do know we'll always definitely push you through with The Guardian. Well, let's see if we start with The Punch. And on The Punch this morning, the leading story reads, Tax Law, 5 trillion VAT windfall for states as a new formula begins. Well, rider to follow on that says that new tax law tilts VAT revenue towards states as local government and federal government share drops to about 922 billion naira. Read more of that story up on page 2 and you get all the gist on that. Court orders for forfeiture of 57 properties linked to Malami and his son is a major one on page 20. And U.S. slams $15,000 visa bond on Nigerians and others. And that very, well, not too good for many Nigerian story is on page 38 of the Punch newspaper. Why Abure, Labour Party faction is not recognized. This is accredited to INEC on page 7. How I caught Nigerian Labour Union's link with KGB and CIA. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo is telling more of that on page 19. Let's see if we'll take other leading stories still on the front page of the Punch this morning. A lot seems to be there. Togo, Niger, Benin owe Nigeria about 25 billion naira for electricity, says NERC on page 29. Makinde fumes as bandit kill 5 in Oyo Forest Guards, and it's a very sad one on page 39. 2027, Obedient back Obi as Dati Eyes Labour Party ticket. And you can get that story up on page 38 of the Punch. But the picture of the day is that of the Delta State Commissioner of Police. And we're talking about no other person but I know during the parade of suspected kidnappers and items recovered at the Delta State Police Command. And funny enough, that happened just yesterday. Well, anyway, a lot. But anyway, we're really happy crime is reducing. And a lot has been done. But anyway, that's how much you can take from the Punch newspaper.
Let's check out for stories making it to the headlines of the Guardian newspaper. On the Guardian this morning, Supreme Court's verdict, 19 months after governors explore gaps in constitution, resist local government's autonomy, is a major screamer on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. A federal government NANS disagree on abandoned students in Morocco. That story is on page 4. Malami court grants interim for future of 57 properties worth 213.2 billion naira on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Why I remain in Labour Party after Obi's exit. This is coming from Dati on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Let's take a look at some more major stories still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Miyetti Allah, Berom youth differ on latest Plateau attacks. That story is on page 30. Fresh blow for Nigerians as U.S. begins $15,000 visa bond. That story, if you want to read that up, on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Police bust child trafficking syndicate in Anambra, rescue 33 girls. You can read more of that story on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. 2027, ADC inaugurates mobilization, registration, revalidation committee. And that very story is on page 5 of the Guardian newspaper. New tax laws undermine tax system, democracy, NLC wants federal government. That very interesting story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Kaduna farmers seek federal government's help over 10.16 billion naira 2025 loss. Interesting story on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Let's take a look at the picture of the day. Yes, that's a major screamer of the lead story, 19 months after governors explore gaps in constitution, resist local government's autonomy. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on the Guardian newspaper.
Well, I trust you are still with us. So let's see if we'll run to Daily Trust and continue with the papers. And on Daily Trust this morning, court orders ex-AGF Malami 57 assets for feature. It's a screamer on the very front page and the lead story on that very page, on the front page of Daily Trust. Well, I trust you really want to read more, so go grab a copy and read page 1 and 4 of the Daily Trust. Dangote withdraws petition against ex-NNMPRA boss from ICPC. It's also a major screamer on page 5. Days after nurse murder, lawyer killed in Abuja. And the sad narrative still continues on page 5. Why Obi may not get ADC presidential ticket. And guess who is saying that? His running mate in the last general elections, Dati Baba Ahmed, is giving his option on page 18. But let's see if we take some other leading stories still on the front page of, Daily Trust. APC pushes back against influence and politics, wants wiki and governance. It's on page 11. 5 killed as bandit attack Oyo Park. It's a very disturbing one that's on making the rounds on all papers today on page 4. 38 die in electricity-related incidents in 3 months. Wow, that's quite much. And you can get that story on page 28. And NLC to federal government, suspend tax laws implementation, not tomorrow, not next tomorrow, but now. And you can get that story up on page 5. But the picture of the day is the 57 properties that were seized by the courts, all attributed to no other but Malami. You can see his houses in Abuja, Kano, Kebbi, and Kaduna. Wow, some as much as expensive as 7 billion naira. Well, anyway, that's the much you can take from the Daily Trust.
Let's see what this day has for us this morning. On this day, the lead story reads, a chief of army staff tours terror-ravaged Niger as bandits attack Old National Park in Oyo State. We have lots of riders to that. Promises enhanced troop deployment. UN urges Nigerian authorities to protect civilians. Schools after new Niger attacks. More of that story is on page 8 of this day newspaper. Let's see if we take some more stories. U.S. demands visa bonds from Nigerians, nationals of 37 other countries. Mandates entry, exit through designated airports. As a major story on page 8 of this day newspaper. Wike, Fubara is an ungrateful child. Declares Rainbow Coalition will produce all elective positions. As one story you want to read on page 8 of this day newspaper. Take a look at the picture of the day. The picture of the day. All things have passed away. United we stand. And this is coming from National Chairman of the APC, Yiwata, as he raises the hand of Governor Mufwang during his registration, his electronic membership registration in Plateau State yesterday. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on this day.
I'm not even surprised it's going to the APC. Well, anyway, and we're really kind of surprised that there seems to be that coordination between him and the national chairman of the APC.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, like she said, you can grab all of that on that This Day newspaper.
This Day newspaper.
But let's continue with the papers. The Nigerian Tribune is, as we extra on the papers, and the leading story, just like on this day, bandits attack Oyo National Park, kill 5 forest guards. Riders to follow. Makinde calls for calm, says cross-border bandits behind attack as the Commissioner of Police deploys security teams in community. But anyway, just get more of that story up on page 3. Let's see if we take some more stories. Sport it is, the back page of Nigerian Tribune. Super Eagles boycott training ahead of Algeria match is a very disturbing one, and you can get that on the back page of Nigerian Tribune. Analysts forecast stable Naira in 2026, project trading of 1,350 Naira per dollar to about 1,450. If that's the case, well, just read it up on page 5. Dangote withdraws petition against ex-NMDPRA boss Ahmed from the ICPC. It's on page 25. U.S. imposes visa bond of up to 15,000 United States dollars on Nigerian orders. It's also there. As court orders interim forfeiture of 57 properties leaked to former AGF Malami gets 500 million naira bail. But bail up that story on page 4. Let's see if we take some other leading stories still on the front page of Nigerian Tribune. 5 farmers killed in Benue is a sad one on page 24. Extension of budget lifespan, not an illegality. Budget office telling us all on page 6. Researchers develop treatment for advanced prostate cancer that could eliminate severe side effects. And that sharing news for men will be on page 8. New tax laws stop inflicting pains on Nigerians. Workers, NLC tells federal government, says workers who were shut out of formation process or and wants federal government to review workers' wages before 2027. But I'll tell you to read up that story up on page 3. The picture of the day is that of that sad incident that played out yesterday as bandit killed 3 in the Old Oyo National Park. And you can see a whole lot of persons at the scene doing more of investigation. Well, that's the much you can take from Daily Trust.
Let's see what the Nation has for us this morning. The lead story on the Nation. Tax laws effect on workers. Oshomole Ajero Difa. Obasanjo Kuka orders honor first NLC President Sumonu at 85 as a major story on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. A court orders interim forfeiture of 57 properties linked to Malami. Don't attempt to approach me for any help. Any attempt to try this will be vehemently resisted. This is coming from Justice Unwite on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Let's take a look at some more stories. Ali Dangote withdraws petition before ICPC against Ahmed. Interesting story on page 2. US $15,000 visa bond requirement takes off January 21st. Is one story you want to read on page 36 of the Nation newspaper. Obi's ex-running mate slams ADC members as disgruntled. Interesting on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Let's see if we take some more stories still on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Oil prices fall on Venezuela crisis. Interesting story on page 3. 2027, Rainbow Coalition will fill all elective positions in Rivers, says Wike on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. Let's take a look at the picture of the day. Yeah, that's still a major screamer of the lead story. Tax laws effect on workers. Oshomole Ajero Difa. Yes, we can see Oshomole, we can see Ajero, and we can see the first NLC president, Sumonu, as he celebrates 85 years. Well, that's all we're taking this morning on the Nation newspaper.
Well, the Vanguard will be the last paper for us to quickly look at, and it looks as if everybody's cutting the beautiful bride. 2027, PDP faction to hold talks with Obi Atiku as ADC tout says Wayne Atiku will be to nowhere. Ads is ready to work with like minds to rescue Nigeria as ADC, not PDP, is a way forward. Atiku's camp, PDP in crisis, can't will be obedient movement. But anyway, move more of that story up on page 5. Let's see if we take some other leading stories still on the front page of the Vanguard this morning. Nigeria records 12 trillion naira trade surplus. It's 21 non-oil export growth, says federal government. Sharing news on page 19. 2027, Obi ex-running mate Baba Ahmed Dati declares presidential ambition. Well, that story is on page 8. Still on page 8, heavy taxes, low wages, rising debt, threat to nation's stability. I'm not saying so, but NLC seems to be reasoning that out. Obi's surest bet for ADC, Wodu. And you can get that story up on page 11. Let's see if we take some other major stories. Still on the front page of the Vanguard. A Nigerian laundering charge, ex-AGF, Malami's son, wife secure 1.5 billion naira bill. That's 500 million for each of them on page 9. The FCC raises alarm over alleged campaign of calumny against it. Is a major one on page 6. One that's disturbing all of us on page 32. Sports, Super Eagles still in unpaid bonuses. Crisis again. Sean training ahead of quarterfinals with Algeria. And on page 6, a major story. Bandit headmen kill 9 farmers. National Guard operative in Oyo, Benue. As police rescue 76 children from kidnappers in Kaduna. Arrest 3 suspects. The picture of the day is that of no other person but Umubudu, Enugu's country home, when Peter Obi and every other one visited him to celebrate and give their intentions of indeed still doing more for Nigeria. Well, anyway, that's the much we can take from the Vanguard, and funny enough, it wraps up our paper review right here this morning on Atlantic TV. You always know that I implore you, or rather advise you, that any time or any need of you enjoying any of that major dailies, well, just go grab a copy of the main papers and read it up. But you know, it's still Viewpoint and Atlantic TV it is. Let's go on the break. Dialogue will come next. And remember, around the hour, the news, as much as something is already in the air for trending. Later, right here on Viewpoint. There are indications that suspected terrorists in the north are already relocating following missiles attack carried out by United States of America just last week. Credible community leaders in the area told Dialogue that that they noticed movement as the hoodlum migrated in small numbers after the Christmas Day attack. Now, the chairman of the United States of America, he called on the U.S. president to extend the operation to Benue, Kogi, Taraba, Niger, and Plateau states. Also, community leaders in Tagasa and others also said that he had cited the dislocation of movement among armed groups since the strike. With the U.S. promising of more strikes and the commencement of surveillance operation now in the northeast, there are indications that these terrorists will definitely move down south. But the question remains, how security prepared are the southern states in Nigeria to stop their movement and prevent them from running and hiding and also planning attacks in the south? And what should the government, both at the federal and the state level, do to safeguard Nigeria, to prevent them from infiltrating and indeed attacking more states in the southern part of the country? Well, this and more is what this edition of Dialogue is centered on, as we're talking about dealing with the relocation of the terrorists after the United States of America airstrike. That's what we're looking at as a major discourse today on Dialogue. We're talking about dealing with the relocation of a terrorist group, especially after the United States airstrike. About this very issue, as we try to look at ways to even strengthen better security in the southern part of the country, and Delta State in particular. We have no other person joining us, rather than the senior to His Excellency, Governor Sheriff Oboriwori, on human rights issues and also security. We're talking of no other person but Comrade Kelvin Ojomodo. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir. Good morning, Mr. Ray. Good morning, viewers, and thanks for having me. Well, anyway, before we talk about dealing or what we need to do as a people, especially as it concerns the southern part of the country, with the credible information reaching us on Dialogue that most of these terrorists. But before we go into all of that, I want your reaction as it concerns that very strike that happened on Christmas Day, more like a gift, President Donald Trump, to Nigerians. I want your reaction as it concerns that very strike coming from AFCON Control Center Command Ship.
Yes, thank you very much. I must appreciate personally President Donald Trump of the United States of America for his matching his words with action. You see, governance is all about, giving terrorists what they bargained for is the deal, and that's a big deal. And I say kudos to President Donald Trump for coming at the 11th hour to help our country. It's a good one. It didn't come to me as a surprise, because I knew from the day President Trump made Nigeria a country of particular concern, he has started working. And all this while we've been seeing, he sent us congressmen to Nigeria to get first-hand information, and they've gone back to give a report to him. And I know for sure, even what was televised, let's go and strike. And on the Christmas Day, where everybody was just relaxing, getting busy with chicken and rice, and we got from Mr. President, I think it's a good one. When I saw it, I smiled. I said, yes, this is how a government should be. This is how responsive you attend to issues of national threat and national and international security. So I think it's a good one. It's a win-win for us.
Okay, now, as much as, because I could still remember the last time you were here, you talked about, you were quite certain that the strike would come. Hence, and funny enough, the strike really came.
Yes.
And more like a gift on Christmas Day for some Nigerians.
Yes, very well.
Anyway, let's leave that, but still remain with the issue of the strike. Now, there's this discourse that many are feeling that, why Sokoto State? Because in most recent time, we've not had any activities of terrorist network in Sokoto State, especially only the Lukarawa terrorist network we seem to be there. And many are already arguing, should it not have been more in the northeast, like Zamfara and Bronu, where we have real activities of these terrorist groups? So the question still remains, why Sokoto?
It's a good question. Like everyone was asking, why Sokoto? You see, the intelligence gathered by the United States is far beyond what we ordinary Nigerians can comprehend. They didn't just go to strike bandits. Sokoto State is the caliphate. The orders and directives come from Sokoto State. The bandits, most of their generals, that's their resting place. When they constitute nuisance in other locations, they go to Sokoto State, go there and camp. Because Sokoto State, there's no issue of bandit attack there, everywhere is calm. But the armory is still there intact. They can still recruit the next day to site. Start constituting nuisance. So taking away the armory at that point in time was the best deal for us. And I think most Nigerians, we doubt too much. Some are even saying now that it's an AI bomb. That there was no attack by the US. How can you say that? The United States is not like some of our government institutions that they come and they lie on a Monday, on Sunday they give you a different narrative, or Friday they give you no. When President Trump says something, he does it. I told you on this same studio, I said he will strike. When he said, am I sure? I said, I'm sure he will strike. And when he will strike, they won't even know. And boom, here we are. So people are looking for, they want to see a video footage. No, what do you want the footage for? It has happened, it has happened. They've taken their armory cells, and more strikes will come also from Israel and the US coming together to do a ground and air offensive. And in from now to January 15, we're going to see that happen as well.
Well, anyway, intelligence or your information from, and really on dialogue, would like to also get a part of that. But I want us to still remain with the issue of the strike. Another major talking point of that very strike was whether it was a joint operation between Nigeria and the United States of America. And I rather want to take what the Secretary of War, Pete, had said. He said there was credible intelligence sharing and also coordination coming from the United States of America and the Nigerian government. But funny enough also, we on dialogue went and we further understood that the Nigerian government was only called 19 minutes before the strike and 5 minutes after the strike. So with common sense, is that a shared cooperation? Is that not just them telling, oh, we are going to strike? They were never pre-informed, only 19 minutes before the strike and 5 minutes after the strike. So would that amount to cooperation in any way?
Yes, coming from the Department of War from the United States,
yes,
he said they were collaborative intelligence gathering from Nigeria, and they also appreciated the Nigerian government also for collaborating in that regard. So I think we'll take that yes.
But is it not just to, in every way, not make Nigerian government feel a bit slighted that they were not carried along, hence a need to come out? Because I wonder, you are striking a country and you're only informing them 19 minutes before the strike and even 5 minutes after the strike.
They understand the Nigerian security architecture, that a whole lot has happened. We've compromised our security architecture in so many ways. Remember the other time that they put a bounty on the head of Chikao. When US put a bounty on the head of Chikao, that anybody that gets him killed will get $1 million. The next 3 days, Nigerian army, he has been killed because they want to get the bounty. The US said, okay, we want to carry out the DNA to ensure that this person has been taken out of line. So at the end of the day, there's too many lies around our security architecture. You also agree with me that just some few weeks ago, the NSA office gave out ammunition, rifle, and brand new vehicles to Mieti Allah to go and fight bandits. And they were arrested in Kwara State by the Kwara State governor. So how do you give Mieti Allah, not a security outfit, AK-47 assault rifles and vehicles, and some of them were absconded with these vehicles and rifles. To date, a few of them were arrested in Kwara State. So most of these things will make the American intelligence, they wouldn't want to give the Nigerian government. But perhaps they said, okay, 15 minutes and 5 minutes after, to God be the glory. Thank God it has happened, Because by the time we begin to dwell on this, because I saw our president also did a tweet and tagged President Donald Trump when he tweeted, when President Bola Tinubu tweeted. So I think they were collaborative intelligence. Let's take it at that.
Okay, well, anyway, if you feel we need to take it like that, but Nigerians are still a bit skeptical and in every way curious to find out whether there was really any intelligence gathering among, or rather intelligence sharing among both nations, and if it was indeed a joint operation. But let's not dwell much on it, but look at it on now more of a larger scale. Now, after that strike, we do have credible information. It's good we let you know here on Dialogue that we have credible information that the United States government has commenced surveillance major states in Nigeria, Zamfara and Bruno as it stands, and we will understand that they are already at Sambisa Forest taking surveillance of the northeast to see if that will be the next theater of war as they try to strike. But let's look at that in particular. We also got information yesterday that Kebbi State was attacked, 8 persons were killed, 2 persons were adopted, and yet we are still having these bandits having relocation. Now, my question now is, do you even see any relief on the part of Nigerians that this has come? Because everybody is questioning. By now, we should not be having bandits having that full mind of going to attack communities, knowing that they are easy target and easy picking by the best military force in the world as it stands. So my question is this not going to escalate as some fear, or do you see this really putting an end to this madness? Forgive my language. Yeah. Madness it sounds. Yeah.
You see, for every action, there's a counter-reaction.
Most certainly.
The U.S. have strike. The bandit, they also want to show that they have little capacity to do what they want to do. You know, they have different theaters of operations within the north. Yeah, I do. So why you have the ISIS, you have other terrorist group and all of that. So in all of these, they operate separately, but they all have one agenda to destabilize the government of the day, using all their antennas to ensure they attack formations, attack civilians, and attack IDP camps and all of that. Now it's a win-win. US have tried. We are not weak. This is what we can do. So it's time for the government now to also do what Nigerian government must also do what? Close track on them. Now US have given you, okay, you go all out after them, using your ground intelligence and also intelligence to ensure that you combat these guys. Check their movement. These guys, they move every day with rifles, launchers and all of that. They move about. Get them from Operation A to Operation B. On transit, you take all of them. And when we do a coordinated attack within the country, within the north, you see that this people will be dislodged. Because the reason they are still coming out is because they still have ammunitions at other locations.
Now, my question still remains. Let me rephrase my question. Don't you feel Nigerians, because there's this certain fear that most Nigerians are expressing. When the attack was done, when President Donald Trump tweeted, he talked about saving his Christian brothers and sisters. Yes. Now, there's this fear and also talk from the north that it should not have a religious or ethnic coloration, that if it does have, it's going to spiral out of control and bring more harm than good. And if we take our mind back to the Iraq war, when we had Iran supporting some part of Iraq to thwart the effort of the United States of America because they felt Alawites rather than Sunnis were being attacked, we saw the same problem. In Afghanistan, a similar trend also played out. So would it not be right if the American government seemed to feel they are helping all Nigerians rather than a religious set or an ethnic nationality?
The best bet is what the US have done. What gave concerns? The killing of Christians. I agree. Muslims also, they killed in the process, but we have majority of Christians that have been murdered in the north and various parts of the country. The records are there. So if the president is saying he's coming to save his Christian brothers, fine. If that will escalate the issue to become maybe an ethnic war between Christians and Muslims, I don't see that happening. Except for those that
you don't have that fear that it will happen.
No, I don't
you feel the Muslim elites in the north, someone like Sheikh Gumi that has come out to say that America is a terrorist and terrorists should not be killing terrorists? Don't you feel they will harp on this and gain the sympathy of the north and make this more of a larger problem rather than a solution?
In a same clan,
yes,
Sheikh Gumi by now ought to have been arrested, tried, and investigated thoroughly. Because the kind of utterances he makes sometimes, I'm baffled. The other day, he tweeted and telling President Bola Tinubu to go and seek help from Turkey, that the US cannot be trusted. In what way? The US have shown capacity, they've shown concern. In what way has Sheikh Gumi condemned any killings of Christians in the north? To date, he has never for once condemned that the Christian was murdered. But whenever he hits them, he come out, is their voice to speak. It's a plea that DSS up to now have not invited him to say, come over for questioning. His son is also in the army. I've said it, I think they should post his son to the Sambisa Forest to lead the theater and the battalion to that place to fight. Then the father will now understand what is going on. Now, his son might have a good posting, maybe be one theater commander somewhere, resting in the office and not in the battlefield. He should be sent to the battlefield by the CDS. That way, he went to tell his father that, Daddy, it's not you think here, it is really bad here. Then the father understand what people are going through. We should not tribalize. I agree, Muslims are killed on a daily basis, Christians are killed, but on a ratio of 1 to 10, we have 8 of Christians being killed. Even in blasphemy cases that have happened in the north, we have Christians that have been killed under the ground of blasphemy. And today, nothing happened. So we should I don't see it coming. If worse comes to worse, they will bow to pressure of the US. If tomorrow the Muslims come and say, okay, like the other day I saw some northern clerics, they went to the church to celebrate Christmas with Christians. And that's how it should be. In religious tolerance, if Christians are doing the program, Muslims should come and stay with us in church. If they are doing the program, we go to and stay with them in the mosque. We are all, religion shouldn't divide us. We are one people, we are one Nigeria. Let's love ourselves. In those days, you don't even know who's good from the north. In Nigeria, we are all, everybody calls them one Nigeria. Today, politicians have been able to say, no, it's a Christian, it's not one of us. You stay as an infidel. What's an infidel? You call me an unbeliever because of your faith? It's wrong. Tomorrow I can be of help to you, can be of help to me, even from a tribe. My grandfather gave a land to the Muslims to build a mosque. He also gave another one to the church to build an Anglican church. Is he a Muslim? No. But because he saw that we are one people, take this parcel of land free, build your mosque, you church take care. The Muslim to live together or we perish together. So I don't see any vacuum coming to say because the US is say that's the message. And these are their concerns. And that's why they came in. So now they won't come and say they are standing for all Nigerians, even if they go there. The US are not going to kill Muslims. No. But they are coming for the terrorists. And what are terrorists? If they are brought to book, they will face the consequence of their actions. So as simple as ABC. Let's not begin to color issues, begin to build sentiment to do it. No. Say Gumi ought to be arrested by now and investigated by the DSS. Even check his message that goes into his phone and calls him daily. Because he doesn't show empathy to people, just his tribe alone. And it's not good. He's a medical doctor.
Yeah.
He's a trained expert. Yeah. So why coming to give such statement as exposed as he is? Because Buhari at that time was the voice of this set. Now President Buhari is gone now. Shekumi has not taken center stage to advocate for terrorists. A terrorist, you don't advocate for them. You show them what the language you understand. You are feeling pain on people, on families that you want to enjoy leverage.
Okay, well, anyway, I'll plead with you. I'm beginning to see your agitation and anger as it concerns states. But anyway, in case you're joining us, it's Dialogue, and today we're looking at the recent strike, Christmas Day bombing of the terrorist network, especially in Sokoto State, Jaba, Tamboa, local government area of Sokoto State. And not just only that, but the fears that they might be relocating away from the theater of war and also finding safe haven, especially in the south. But what needs to be done at government at all levels, both at the state level, the local government, and also on the federal level, to deal with these terrorists and ensure that they do not migrate into safer places and turn those places now into theater of war. That's what we're having as a major discourse today on Dialogue, and we still have our guest. I'm talking of no other person but the Senior Special Assistant to Governor Sheriff Uborowori on human rights issues and also security. Now, I need to bring you back because this is more of a major concern, especially as it concerns. I want us to talk at a larger scale. And the scale I want us to talk about successfully took out an operation, theater of operation terrorist network, destroyed their enclave in Zamfara, where we had scores and scores of terrorists killed on account of that. It was a huge success that brought a whole lot of cheer. But the Nigerian government should do more to ensure that that state and momentum is still achieved. Do you feel that is the case at the moment? And do you feel, or in your own assessment, what should the government do to ensure that they do not run away, but rather are in every way cycled down, picked, and neutralized?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I must commend the NAF, Nigerian Air Force, for that offensive bombardment.
Yes.
You know, it's long overdue. I've always said it that where our Air Force is, because Now, you don't need to do more of the when the airstrike cleared the battlefield, then the ground forces goes in and take them one after the other. Then those that surrender, they be captured. But in all of this, I must give it to the NAF, and I must also give it to the Chief of Defense Staff as well. Yeah. You know, we've seen, you know, the military, they don't videotape most of their successes, but they are actually doing a whole lot in recent time. The first thing going forward is, first of all, secure all state borders.
Okay.
While they are crossing from Borno to Kebbi, ensure that the borders are secure. So as they are coming in their numbers, you capture them, the ones that need to be killed, and you seal up that area. You go to the next area, you walk off a black spot, and the security expert, they know this black spot. What do? Intensify your operating within those black spot areas, dislodge them from those areas, and you get a safe haven for everybody to pass. But if we say because the US have come to help, we go and relax, these people, they will strike. Because territories, they don't have a break, they don't have an holiday. They're ready to strike every day if they have the access. So we must tame them to ensure that all state borders close, all national borders close, to ensure that these people, no infiltrators will move in and move out. That's the only way we can get it right.
But do you feel that is the case at the moment? Because we are having credible information reaching us right here on Dialogue that these persons are indeed moving down south. Just yesterday, they came out to demand a 500 million naira for the 5 families that were adopted just a few weeks ago. Yes. 500 million is a ransom they're asking. And funny enough, that state is Kwara State, which is more like a gateway between the north and the south. Now, every indication is that they are coming down south. And yet we're having the government feel that they are containing them. Do you see that happening?
Probably before now, they've moved into south, they've moved into the southeast, they are everywhere. So the government needs to dislodge their network. One, their financiers, go after them. When there's no money to fund these people, they get hungry, and a lot of them will surrender. Okay. So first of all, go after their financiers, then go all out. It's a full-blown war. Go all out for them. And you see, I'm telling you, we'll have a good result by so doing. But when we are relaxed as a people, as a government, we are putting more attention on elections and leaving behind. People are being kidnapped every day and demanding ransom. Let the CBN bring a tracking device, printed currency, that when you pay this ransom, anybody that spends the money, you owe them. When we do 10 of these, before you know, they'll stop. But these guys are having a free day, collect ransom and they go, and they're having a free day. It's a big issue for all of us in this country. So government must rise to the occasion and call a spade. Remove a political sentiment and religious sentiment and fight this fight once and for all.
Now, still talking about fighting this fight, now it only makes sense if we come back home, which we are really more concerned of. And talking about home, we're talking about the big heart, which is Delta State. Yes. Now, let's come down here. There's this growing concern from Deltans that there seems to be an influx of these Northerners down here with no profiling. We've seen them countless in Barrow, Ugeli, Uwie, Udu, Jedo, Ubeji, Asaba. They seem to be coming in their numbers, and yet in the state as it stands, there is no proper profiling of these persons. Should we not be concerned, sir?
Yes, it calls for concern, and I think in most security briefing we've had that discourse. These persons that come into the state, you just bring them in trailers and they drop them at the Garki market off Chaplain Road there. You see all of them just come down. Some start riding tricycles, some getting bike and start riding all over the places. So I think this January there'll be a platform whereby this book can be profiled, giving them an ID card. We identify them, and they also have a guarantor, a shorty, and all of that. We'll do that because we've done that in some areas whereby all the bikers, they have an apron and they have ID card. Okay. So if they see you not having an apron and ID card, they know you are somebody coming from a different place, you'll be apprehended. And they all know themselves. So I think we're going to do a more modern approach going forward to tackle this, and we'll get results.
Now, is there any collaboration? Is there any discussion with some of the northern elders in the state and the federal government and the state government as it concerns this person? Because that's where our concern is. Because if we do not have elders that seem to know these persons, it might be a problem when they strike. Is there a collaboration between some northern elites in the state and the state government?
Yes, there is. We've got a northern that is also an SSA to the governor on security.
Oh.
He's one of us. He also ensured that...
A northerner?
A northerner, yes. He's one of us. You know, there are imams and all of that. We all have roundtable security meetings where some issues are being discussed to identify these persons and profile these persons are coming every, because every day they keep coming in their numbers. You see them on the road, sometimes they just sit down there looking for jobs, not jobs to do. So,
but that they are not against the law, though.
No, they're not against the law.
Okay.
Yes, they can come and work.
Okay.
But when you start going to criminality, they will flush you out. A lot of them have been arrested as well, that are involved themselves in criminal matters within the state. In Asaba, in Agbaro, in Ugeli, a lot of them have been arrested as well. So going forward, I think it's a win-win for us. By January, we'll have a roundtable discourse and put a seal on that.
Okay, now still talking about governors or the government approach. Yes, many will say this Christmas period have been relatively calm as it concerns insecurity in the state, which is more like for the state government. But yes, since after we've heard about the Security Trust Fund in October, little or nothing have been heard on how the state needs to move forward in securing not just its assets, but the people that seems to be. So we want to have, if you can really oblige us in giving us an update as it concerns the Security Trust Fund, sir.
Yeah, like I said, by this coming year, the new year, all plans will be spelled out. Issue of security, you don't let out a lot of information out there. But by the first quarter of January, by the first quarter of 2026, you see all of those plans, vehicles, arms, and all of that being rolled out. And we'll see that. Deltas will have a feel of safety and fresh air.
Okay. Well, anyway, in case you're joining us, it's still dialogue, and we'll always oblige you to remember to also send your question, because that's what we'll be having as it comes next year. We'll be taking your questions and be getting real life comment as it concerns what we're discussing. Like today, we're talking about dealing with the relocation of terrorist network, especially as it concerns them relocating from theater of war, which is the northwest, northeast, and north central, and indeed shifting down south. You will really agree with me that Kwara and Kogi State has now become a new heaven as it concerns insecurity, and indeed many Nigerians are pretty concerned, hoping that it do not come down to the big heart, and not only the big heart itself, Delta State, but also to the south. Come back to it and look at some other major issues. I want us now to go larger scale into the federal level. We'll come back to the state, and let's look at it. Now, it will be a thing of great understanding that in the last budget, we budgeted, as the federal government budgeted about 6.27 trillion as it concerns defense. 4.12 trillion was used for personnel cost, and only 1.67 trillion was used as capital, for capital. And when we mean capital expenditure, we're talking about hardware and all of that. Now, do you feel the problem we seem to have is an issue of not, or rather lacking in enough ammunition to deal with this problem? Having that huge money going for overhead costs. Yes, we talk of increase in the salaries of our security personnel. We've just had a recent increase. Them that were paid 100,000, with all due understanding, is now being shifted to about 300,000 for as low as a corporal. But let's read.
It all boils down to leadership.
Yes.
We've seen some retired general who was arrested, and the other time they were tried. Some carted away with vehicles, some carted away with monies and all of that. We must be prudent in our spending. This is not the time where you compromise the security architecture of this country. What we need to do, if they give you a budget, spend the money, get software and hardware mechanisms to combat crimes and criminality. Send your men for training. It's not. This time for serious overhaul, not business as usual. When the money comes in, they share among retired generals and say, take your. No, it's time to put the square peg in a square hole, so that we get that result that Nigerians desire for. If we have the money, buy these items.
But do you think we are spending enough on getting the hardware? The reason I'm asking this, with all indication, it was 12 Tomahawk missiles that were used in that attack on Christmas Day. Yes. And with our credible information on dialogue, we know that each Tomahawk missile is about $2 million. So in all, they spent $24 million in trying to secure Nigeria with little or no benefit coming from them. Maybe the government have struck a deal on what Americans will get from this. We do not know. We do not want to dive into that. But a country spending $24 million, less than 30 minutes to help secure another country, and yet we are not having enough. Should we not be spending more to help defend